Hello and welcome to ITIM number 10. I'm your host Tim Sarley, and today we're here at VI.PT training in Shepparton. I'm here with Troy Tremellen, the ultra marathon extremist, Spartan specialist, endurance athlete and personal trainer. Welcome, Troy.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Very grateful of spending some time with Troy today, because he's got a fantastic spine tingling story that he's going to share with us. So hang in there. But before we get into the story, Troy, tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me on your podcasting. It's greatly appreciated to get some exposure. So a bit about myself. Been running the training business for coming up 8 years this year. Prior to that, I was with the National Bank as a manager for nearly on 20 years.
Yep.
But yeah, primarily now full-time running a personal training studio, specialising in group training, strength, conditioning, and we also do a lot of nutritional consulting as well in relation to health of the clients.
Yep, excellent. So I was first met Troy back when I was, I think I was about 20 years old. I ran the football club when I played football at Marupna, and back then the culture that we lived in was a little bit different.
Absolutely.
Every weekend we'd go and play football. After football we'd hang around and have a few drinks, and that would spill into the night, and that was the culture that we lived. And Troy was, I'm going to say this, slightly overweight at the time.
Yeah, 20 kilos heavier.
Yeah, living a different lifestyle. And I was just talking to Troy before about it. One of the things I remember is Troy used to always have a can of Bundy in his hand, Bundy rum. And most of us did. It wasn't just Troy. That I remember that sort of era where we all sort of stood around the shed and had a few drinks after the football game. But it was a totally different lifestyle. So going from there, Troy, if you want to share your story with us around how you went from being someone living that different lifestyle, and you had some other suffering from, if you don't mind me sharing, with anxiety and depression at the time.
Yep.
And I certainly didn't know about that, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't know about that. But that's something that you were dealing with at the time. And so how did you go from being in that lifestyle to what was the
change, the trigger?
What was the trigger that just woke up all of a sudden and said this is not the right way to live? And from there,
So you're right, the culture around the footy club and the lifestyle they led at the time was revolved around drinking and smoking and eating unhealthy foods, and just young and didn't really know a lot better. And then working in the bank, it also had a culture of drinking a lot on Friday nights, and being a quite stressful job as well. There was people rely on alcohol to kind of forget about things, and the weekend comes, you just want to enjoy yourself. But in 2007 I got really sick with depression and anxiety, and kind of had a breakdown where I had to demote myself from my role at the bank. Took about 8 weeks off work to kind of get myself back together, with the help of doctors and psychologists and drugs at the time, kind of put me back into a better better headspace, so that you can kind of deal with what's happening around you, rather than just feeling completely depressed and anxious all the time. Along with that, then I started getting kind of arthritis and different other health issues and borderline lupus, and I was seeing a rheumatologist who at the time was looking to put me on some pretty strong steroids and medications to help with everything I was going through. And at the time, it was quite overwhelming, and I didn't want to go down that path. And I started to read a lot more about nutrition and these diseases and what people were doing to kind of help themselves.
Do you think those problems you were having were from all the medication that you were having in the first place, or?
Well, I think it was just a build-up over 10 to 15 years of just abusing the body to a point where it just said enough's enough. Mentally I wasn't there, and my physical body was starting to break down. So the more I educated myself on nutrition and what other people were doing naturally to kind of heal themselves mentally and physically, I started to really enjoy the nutritional side of things. And the better, I remember the day, it was the 2nd of January 2009, so this was 2 years after I kind of got really sick. So there was a period of 2 years there where it was a bit of health for myself and my wife and family, and it was tough going. And I was always looking for an out of the bank because it was quite a stressful role at the time. And I'd always had an interest in training because I'd been involved in martial arts and boxing for years prior to that. So when I got sick and I started studying about nutrition and training, and then I wanted to become a personal trainer, things just started to evolve, and the better I ate, the better I felt, and then so you get into that vicious cycle, but you can get yourself out the same way.
So you started just training yourself, like going to boxing. And
the 2nd of January 2009, I trained in the shed every day for 6 months. I changed my nutrition and just had a fair crack for 6 months. And in that 6 months, I dropped 20 kilos. And then from there, finished my certifications in personal training. And then in 2011, about 18 months later, I set up the business, and then went from there.
So you're doing part-time at first, though?
Yep. So I was still a full-time bank manager. So I got back into bank manager rather than an assistant role. And I had a trailer and I had a bit of equipment, and then I advertised in the Advisor, which I got one phone call. So this was kind of pre.
So you didn't have any clients before you put the ad in?
Zero clients. So 0 clients. I did one ad in the Advisor, so pre-social media, pre-Instagram, all of that stuff, and had to source clients. So through a bit of word of mouth and a couple of friends from the bank, jumped into the first 8-week program that I had. We did 3 days a week just down at the Shep Lake. So I'd get up at 5 in the morning, trailer everything down, set up. We'd run a 45-minute session, trailer everything home, have a shower, put suit and tie on, off to the bank, work a full day, scoot home, load the trailer up, back into town, and I trained people at the Kayla Park. So I did that on and off for nearly 12 months, and then it got to a point where I was getting busier and busier. So I went kind of semi-part-time with the NAB to increase sessions in personal training. But by that stage, I shifted into a mate's gym. Matt Reed's got GV Martial Arts. So he was kind of subletting out his floor space mornings and nights for me, so we could kind of get out of the cold and the heat, which was kind of really good. And then from there, I just put on different session times and built the business slowly that way.
Good.
And transitioning to a full-time studio about 2.5-3 years ago. Well, I had my first training studio in Rose Street, so we're there for 3 years, and that was kind of part-time as well. But being in the bank nearly 20 years, they like to restructure. And it got to a point where my role was become redundant, and it was probably the kick in the pants I needed to get out and make a go of this full time.
And so now you're here, I guess.
Second studio, biggest studio, training more clients, doing a lot more consulting. We run 33 group sessions a week. We train 150 clients a week. And that's not the ones we consult to. And we also run an online forum of over 200 clients where we discuss nutrition and supplementation and other lifestyle hacks to kind of help people with their own goals.
So just take us back a little bit. What was the mindset? Because I mean, it's easy just to go, start training in the shed, like just get up at 5 o'clock and start training. Well, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it.
Absolutely.
So what was the mind? How did you switch? Like, you have to be really strong-minded to do that. So what was the mindset? And what tips have you got for people that are looking to do that, but just when the alarm goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning, they go, I'll start tomorrow.
For me, because I was so sick, I needed to make a change, and I was unhappy with how I looked and how I felt. And my son was born in 2008, and that was November 2008, and then 2009 on January the 2nd. I'm like, for me, it was about being here.
You're not going to be around if
I'm not going to be around for my kids. So I'm like, fuck it, this is the day.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the turning point. So, you know.
So that was a trigger.
And I still do all these crazy events, and you know, I think about my kids the whole time. Like, you know, you're 10 hours in and you know, grinding away.
Yeah.
You know, I use them as my motivation to train and to still train every day and to eat well and still live a balanced lifestyle. Like, I still enjoy a beer and a Parmigiana.
Yeah.
I don't miss out on any of that.
I thought you were doing that the other day. No, you actually had a salad. So.
I did.
Yeah.
I did have a salad. So yeah, I just enjoy a really good balanced lifestyle now. But I do everything for my family, and I think doing a lot of these big endurance events also kind of, you know, it gets my clients involved as well. But it also, you know, inspires other people to get out there and have a crack.
Yep.
But yeah, for me, it was the turning point was
probably the birth of
the kids.
Yeah,
the kids.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Tell us about the biggest challenge you've had from going from part-time in business to full-time in business. What's the biggest business challenge you've had so far through that?
Probably self-doubt.
Yeah.
Knowing that you can do it, you know, knowing that if you open the doors up, you're going to get the clients through.
How'd you overcome that?
Well, you've got no choice. If you're told you don't have a job as a full-time banker, you know, you need to make a go of it.
Yeah.
So at the time for me it was like, righto, well, I've now got the time to put on more sessions.
Yep.
I'll advertise a little bit more on Facebook, try and build the numbers, and then from there things have just flowed on. I try not to, I don't advertise on Facebook a great deal.
Yep.
Every now, maybe every 8 to 10 weeks I might put something up that a new training block's coming up.
Yep.
But a lot of the business has been built by word of mouth, and which has been really good. But yeah, challenging back in the early days when there was no social media.
Yep.
Nowadays you can put a post up and, you know, have 100 comments and you get a lot of inquiries, which, you know, my wife deals with that side of the business and manages that, incoming new clients and stuff.
Yeah, yep. Just, you said that you get, like, any of the posts, and I look at a lot of the comments that you get, you have got a very strong, loyal following that will always comment on a lot of your social media, which is magnificent. Like, that's the best thing you can ask for, is engagement from your followers. You know, a lot of people in social media, I see it as a community. They'll scroll past people that they see, but you know, if they walk past them in the street, they'll probably stop and have a chat. But if they scroll past something and see something, that they won't even take the time to like or share a comment. I try and tell my clients that if you are scrolling through, pretend it's your community and you're walking past this person in the street, because we're doing that.
Yeah, 100%.
Just share a like, put a comment to say it looks great, or
it's
whatever.
important to them, so you should acknowledge that. 100%.
And you do that really well, so well done.
Yeah, no, I've got probably 90-95% retention rate with clients. So a lot of them just continually roll over every 8 weeks and do their training. And I've got clients from day one down at the lake that are still training 7 years later. So
and that's their lifestyle now.
It is 100%. Yeah,
it's a part of their.
And it's great to see them, you know, from when they come in on day one to where they're at now, and what they've done with their life, and different events they've done, and the challenges that they've put themselves through. And it's great to be a part of it.
I can imagine it will be good, a very satisfying role for yourself.
Absolutely.
To see that progression. What's the biggest business lesson you've had?
I think education is number one. There's a lot of people that in this industry that do their Cert 3 and Cert 4 and become a personal trainer, which is good.
Professional at it all of a sudden, because they've done a Cert.
And they post a lot of stuff up, which isn't, you know, probably the right thing to do with their knowledge base, because after I did my Cert 3 and 4 7 years ago, I've continually studied every year with some of the best strength and conditioning and nutrition coaches in the world. So when they come to Australia, I automatically book in with them. So I'm up to date with what's going on. You just go on Instagram, there's fad diets, there's this and that, and you know, you need to be on top of that. So if you don't educate yourself, you can't pass that on to the clients, and then they're hearing stuff off Instagram and Facebook, and then they get confused, and then you know, it's up to me to say, well, this is how we lift, this is how we train, this is the supplements that we use. And these are the nutritional standards that we need to stick with. Anything outside of that, and you're kind of, you know, pushing yourself into those fad kind of diets, which, you know, I don't do any of that bullshit. You know, we stick with the science-based techniques.
Yes.
If people want to try different things for different reasons, whether it's social or religious or whatever, fine, I'll kind of help guide them through that.
Yeah.
But I can tell them what works, what doesn't. If they want to try something different, righto, let's try it, see how it goes. But long term, we want sustainable results.
Yes.
So they're changing their lifestyle.
Consistency. Yeah.
You know, we're not just going to cut out a whole food group and then get a good 8-week, before and after picture and put it on Instagram.
And then go and put it back on.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're all about the lifestyle, long-term sustainable results, and getting people out and active with their families, and that's taking them up the mountains. That's the best.
So you've got you do enjoy getting up to Brighton, heading over the hills and things like that. And I know you do these crazy things like 50k runs over the mountains and things like this. I struggle just walking up, going up there by car, and you're running up them. What's next? What have you got planned coming up? I heard something about 100k or something.
Yeah, next weekend's the Oscars 100 hut to hut. So it's a 100k loop from the top of Bulla all the way around 10 different summits.
Yeah.
There's 6 of us from here that are doing that. We're raising money for autism. That's what Oscars Hut to Hut organisation is about.
Okay.
So we're getting involved in that. So hopefully we can push through in a day, which is going to be a hard task to meet the cut-offs. But
what's the hour like? What's the cut-off? How many hours do you have to do?
There's sectional cut-offs from different huts. We're going to try and push through to 70 k's in the first 16 hours.
Right.
If we get in under 16 hours, then we might try and push to the finish within under 24 hours. If we miss the cut-off at 16 hours, then we'll have to sleep the night.
Yep.
So you have to carry everything. So all your sleeping bag, mattresses, food, water. There's quite a big mandatory list of stuff.
Yeah.
But we've been putting in the hours in the hills, and 5-6 hour sessions over in Bright up Feathertop. And then there's quite a few of us do a lot of trail runs. So Alpine Challenge coming up. We've got the Buffalo Stampede, which is a sky marathon.
Yep.
So rather than your flat road marathon, this one's got about 2,000 metres of elevation.
Yep.
So same distance, just a lot harder.
Because the normal one is not hard enough.
Nah, boring.
So mate, just mindful of time.
Yep.
Thanks for your time.
No worries.
You are true inspiration to myself and to your clients, but also probably an inspiration to a lot of people that you don't even know.
Yeah.
That you don't even know that you're an inspiration to them, especially when they see things on social media, when they just look at it and go, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
And they never do. So keep up the good work, mate. It's been a pleasure.
No worries.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Everybody enjoyed it. So please leave some comments, like and share. If you've got any questions, any personal training tips or questions for Troy, you'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah, absolutely.
There, so.
Comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Yep, if you've stuck it out this long. So thanks very much. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Ta-ra.